I think we have few attendees now. Let's make a start then.
Okay, welcome everybody into our first webinar, Data Intelligence in Regulated Industries. Today I'm gonna interview Balvinder Dang, who is the founder of Datavid. Balvinder is a software architect. He's also a consultant and obviously an entrepreneur. One of his focus areas has been solving data problems using the latest NoSQL technology across a number of industries and domains. Balvinder is also passionate about semantic and knowledge-based technologies and obviously has got many years of technology consulting experience with a focus on software development and customer management. So to kick off our webinar, I would like to ask Balvinder, what is data intelligence? How do we define it?
Thanks, Anastasia. I'll share my screen and I prepared a few slides. So I'll put those so it becomes easier for all the attendees to see. So just give me a moment. I'll share that now. Okay. Can you see my screen, Anastasia?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So thanks for the introduction. So, and the question on data intelligence. So data intelligence is the ability to transform massive data sets into intelligent data insights, typically using semantics, machine learning, artificial intelligence technologies to improve services and investments that corporations have done in their businesses in their data. Now, there are various kinds of data sets that corporations have within their ecosystem. Some of the data sets are structured, some are unstructured, for example, Word documents, PDF documents, PowerPoint, spreadsheets, Excel, and there could be many other formats in the unstructured. There is a large quantity or volume of data which is unstructured, in document format or document-oriented format. And then you have structured databases, as we know, relational databases where things are more organized in a more normalized format. Now, data intelligence starts with, organizing your data and then classifying your data and then extracting information from that data. So, and rather I would say data points, and these data points that you extract gives you new insights or new meaning to your data, which previously was not possible. So it's a practice of applying semantics, machine learning, and various advances that have happened to draw new meaning and new insight out of your data. And sometimes it's simply could be using, fuzzy match using custom ontology and taxonomies, or it could be more elaborate, with, machine learning models if you have enough training data available. Now, to extract concepts and data points, it's also the relationship between the data points, which is where I think the semantic bit comes in really useful. By using ontologies and taxonomies, you can draw a relationship between these data points that you have extracted out of your data.
Thank you, Balvinder. And before asking my next question, I would like to welcome the audience once again to our webinar and say that all of them, you can submit your questions via the chat functionality, and Balvinder will take them after the interview. So thank you for explaining what data intelligence is and how we define it. But how do we help customers achieve it?
So there are various use cases that corporations are trying to solve, and the way we help our customers in achieving it is, by implementing technologies and solutions in this area. We see there are four high-level use cases that people are trying to solve, in the regulatory environment and regulated industries. One is, discovery of content, and I have a slide here which I'll bring up. And so there is, actually this slide is probably better. So one is the discovery of content. You're trying to do concept-based linking, extract concepts out of your data, provide a cognitive search platform, which is, I would say, the next version of enterprise search. Enterprise search has existed for many years, but semantic and cognitive search is, the new generation of search engines that are coming out. And categorization of your data. Oops, something changed there. The second use case that a lot of enterprises are trying to solve is around compliance. There are various regulatory bodies in various industries, in life sciences and pharmaceuticals, and they are trying to and these enterprises have to address to those compliance needs and submit reports to the authorities and the compliance bodies. And these are all, again, use cases of data intelligence, where you can build data intelligence applications which can help you expedite this process of reporting or compliance, or help you with the automating some of the business process, or providing you this 360-degree visibility on your data. So I think these are the sort of the 4 high-level use cases that most customers are trying to solve, and we help them with these data intelligence platforms.
You've touched upon this already, Balvinder. Why is data intelligence particularly important in the context of regulations and compliance policies?
Yeah, sure. So there are various use cases here, as I was explaining. There are trader surveillance platforms, there are digital publishing platforms, regulatory compliance applications, and semantic link data platform. These are all various use cases of data intelligent applications. And in the regulatory industry, it becomes more and more important because of the compliance needs, which are increasing by the day. Right. For example, the MDR 2021, which came out from medical device manufacturers, where there is more onus on the medical device manufacturing companies to provide safer, to do more, provides data to ensure that their products are safe. And so that means they have to do more reporting. It increases the reporting needs, compliance needs. So in the regulatory and compliance world, this is just, it becomes more and more important in this new age. Another example is EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency in the agrochemical space, have set a goal for all the agrochemical companies to stop all mammalian testing by 2035, which means that there is a need for a platform which is allowing them to see all the data they have from existing testing that has been conducted over the last hundreds of years, and how they can extract all this information into a single place, where new scientists, new researchers, when they're researching for new active ingredients, they're able to look at existing data and existing research that has been done within their organization or outside their organization, right? Both. And able to tap into that data and which helps them in their research.
Great, thank you, Balvinder. My next question is being very practical. What is a typical composition of a team working on a customer project, and what are the approximate timelines?
So that's a very good question, because we have a lot of experience in this area. Datavid, our consultants come from a MarkLogic background, which is a NoSQL database, where we have been building a lot of these intelligent data applications on top of it. Other than that, we have experience with a lot of AWS serverless technologies which have come out, and open source technologies around NLP and natural language processing, text extraction. And we've also built some connectors for common stuff like data orchestration, using some data orchestration tools, which really expedites the implementation of these platforms for our customers. And we are also currently in the MVP phase of building a platform called Datavid Rover, which also, takes a lot of the learnings we have in this area and provide these microservices based APIs to our customers to do some of these tasks in a faster, more agile way. And so typical composition of the team would be, typical composition of the team could be, you know, one business analyst, a QA, two developers, and really this because of the expertise we have and also some of the microservices we have created in this area, you can really get an MVP version out of this kind of a data intelligent product out within 6 months, which would typically take up to an year or 2 years. So it really gives you like 50 to 60% reduction on the implementation of these projects.
Balvinder, now coming back to the theme of our webinar, basically the regulatory context and compliance policies, and being very specific, which regulations did we help customers comply with?
So we have a few use cases in this area. So I'll go to the next slide. So it mentioned here under compliance, GDPR, EPA, MDR, and Financial Conduct Authority as well. So mainly, as I also mentioned about EPA, EPA asking for stopping mammalian testing by 2035. So that's one of the agrochemical companies we are working for, where we are helping them build a data intelligent platform which allows them to comply with these kinds of requirements. Another similar use case we are doing there in this customer is where they are asking for, the regulators are asking for some information to be submitted from past submissions that the company has done. So again, we are doing some machine learning based content extraction use case to extract content in an automated way from past submissions going over many years, so that they are able to submit this, meet this requirement from the regulators. There is the MDR regulations. We are working with a medical device manufacturing company, and there again we are working on a platform which is a data intelligent platform, which allows them to do post market reporting on their products and how the products are performing, and using that information they have to submit these reports as part of their legal mandate to the medical device regulatory bodies within Europe. And another use case I would give is around GDPR. We are working with a customer where they have to abstract and remove all kinds of personally identifiable information. Again, it's an intelligent data platform where they're able to do named entity recognition and find all the personally identifiable information and then redact it as part of the legal compliance. So there are all kinds of use cases. There are some examples here that we're talking, but similarly in the financial industry also, we have seen use cases around reporting around traders. If there is a bank who's trying to do some investment bank with trading, and FCA has really put in a lot of regulations around reporting that they have to do on a weekly basis or monthly basis. So again, these kind of applications play a big part there, and we were helping with some customers to achieve that.
To kind of continue what you've mentioned previously about our knowledge and expertise, which helps accelerate time to delivery in a project life cycle, could you expand on it, especially in the context of use cases where data is spread across multiple silos and is in different formats?
Yeah, so let me go to the next slide and we talk about, so we're working on this platform. We call it the Datavid Rover, and what it is basically a platform which allows integrating of data from various silos. And the platform is built using a multi-model database, MarkLogic, and it basically out of the box gives you the capability to load the data as it is in the format, and document oriented database. And it's a multi-model, so it also allows, it's also a search engine and a graph database, so it gives a lot of features there, which allows you to extract the information, transform the data into a normalized format, and then you do entity extraction and enrichment on top of it. And that helps really in getting the data into a format which you can then do further enrichment on that data, and do classification and tagging, named entity recognition. You can give your custom ontologies and tag that, and then build a search and explore user interface based on the needs of the user, any kinds of visualization on top of it. And then it also the platform we have developed also gives you tools and APIs where you can export this data or expose this data to downstream reporting tools, or if people want to do further data science into on top of it, or further analysis on top of the data, that those are exposed over the APIs, and that makes it highly extensible.
Thank you, Balvinder. That was a brief introduction of Datavid Rover, our data intelligence platform. But being customer-centric, it would be great if you could share a couple of examples of customers who chose Datavid to accelerate their compliance efforts. Could you do that?
Yeah, so I think I briefly already mentioned about life sciences compliance use case. It's a customer we have been working for, and we built a cognitive search platform for that. And we are as you said, we are a services focused company. So we've been working for them for last 2.5 years, and the challenge they had is that they had a lot of legacy information in PDF format, OCR, PowerPoint, Word, Excel, and a lot of scientific research, and a lot of man hours was being spent by the scientists in finding the relevant information for their research, both internal and external. And again, as I said, regulatory bodies to stop all mammal testing. So they wanted to do more with their data, and so the goal was to build a platform which allows them and the research teams to be able to extract information and find these new insights and data points from their existing research that was conducted. And we had a small team here and from Datavid, and there was a wider team working from the customer side as well. And together we have built this platform which gives them a new enterprise search, cognitive search platform, and it's on live right now, and they are able to the wider team is able to use it to find the data they are looking for. And then the scientists can spend time on real research instead of just searching for relevant information and reading heaps of documents before finding out that my document or that research might not be relevant to them. So it gives them better outcome. Another use case is a pharmaceutical company we are working with. We built a data hub for them, and they do a lot of clinical trials, and as part of the regulatory compliance reporting, they have to do a lot of reporting to the regulatory bodies. And again, a small team here working to capture data from various different sources into a single normalized format, doing some entity extraction and doing some normalization of the data, and automate. This is more of an automation use case where it gives you more of an automated reporting, and it provides large savings due to productivity gains, that most of the reporting is sort of automated, and they can just get the reports out and work further on top of it.
Thank you. I hope these examples were useful for our audience. Well, to come to the conclusion of the interview part of our webinar, I wanted to ask you if to summarize the main takeaways from this webinar, what would they be?
So I think the main takeaways would be, data intelligence platforms are sort of the future. They can help in building a new e-commerce applications, which can open up, new revenue streams in the enterprises, or they can ensure, regulatory compliance and reporting needs. I gave some examples of that already. Or data intelligence platforms can also provide, massive benefits by, improving the efficiency of the workforce and productivity of the workforce. So these are all, the three broad areas I would see where, these platforms really help in the business these days.
Great, thank you, Balvinder. Now, let's check the chat and see if there are any questions. And I would like to welcome the audience to ask questions now.
This first question from Martin Price: how significantly is the use of unstructured data in regulated industries? My experience working in government is most regulated data tends to be structured. So in the life sciences and pharma space, where we have been working with a lot of customers, Martin, it's a lot of the data that gets produced is unstructured. The reports or that are submitted to the regulators, or that those reports are usually Word documents, PDF documents, so they are in document format. A lot of the data points that go in the report themselves are might be coming from structured relational databases sometimes, but sometimes not. Sometimes we have seen that those assumptions are not right. The whole content pipeline within an organization where the data is getting created, whether that data where it is being created, how it is managed and stored, sometimes it's not all structured or in relational databases or normalized, and that creates a real problem, because you might have produced a document 20 years ago which would have gone to a regulator, but now you are getting a question from a regulator on that document, and sometimes they're even asking, okay, what data did you have at the point when you made this decision? On what basis did you make this decision? So what we are seeing in the regulatory industry is a lot of the data is unstructured. There is some unstructured data as well, but it's also about in the data intelligence, you have to first get data from all these data silos. You'll have a lot of legacy relational databases and applications that were built which are capturing some data which might be structured, and there might be a lot of documents that you've created, and creating this platform which integrates all the unstructured data as well as the structured one in one single place, and then giving you the ability to look across the two is in itself really powerful. So thumbs up, thanks. I think answers Martin's question. Any other questions? The question from Pawan Saha: retail industries also use data intelligence platform. I think everyone can see the chat, so I'll not read it. So Pawan, just one clarification in the last sentence you've written how MarkLogic can be used in these fields and why we use ML in this. So do you mean ML by MarkLogic or ML by machine learning? Right, okay. So see, MarkLogic is a multi-model database. It allows you to put your unstructured content in there as well as your structured content, which you can put in JSON or XML format. When you are gathering data about your customers, coffee buying experience or preferred drinks or other stuff, it's that ability to give the 360 degree on your customer, right? And one of the if I go back to the slide I had, let me go back to this slide here. Yeah, so the 360 degree use case here about having all the information about your customer, right? So a 360 degree on customer, right? That's really important, and that is something, a typical use case that MarkLogic can provide, because you might be getting behavioral analytics information about the customer from one data feed or one data source, but you might have other information about that customer, that okay, what coffee, what is their past spend with us, where they have been spending, and those things really and that 360-degree. Sorry, I don't know why this keeps changing. I'm not doing this. Let me go back. Yeah. So building that 360-degree view and giving that data insight and analytics is where MarkLogic can solve this, right? So one data feed could be about the behavioral pattern of the customer, but there could be other information about that customer that you have within your landscape, within your data landscape, and putting that in one data hub. And MarkLogic comes with that data hub platform and data hub use case, which then allows you to see all the data in one place. And I think that is where MarkLogic could be really useful and give you that 360-degree on the customer. And that information sort of gives you new insights, right? And then you can use that to maybe, upsell other things to them, or, provide other value-based services to that customer. Okay, Pawan is asking another question here. So that's a very interesting question. I think technology or software is there to solve a business case or a business problem, right? All technology we use is to solve a business problem, and it depends on what problem you're trying to solve. And for certain types of problems, I see certain databases or certain technologies are better and solve the problem better and have better features out of the box. And also, requirements are really important here, right? So MarkLogic is enterprise grade in terms of, the security aspects of your data, in terms of, horizontal scaling of your data, in terms of, integration capabilities. And it's 3-in-1, which I always say 3-in-1. And I think that's where it has a lot of benefits over other technologies. It's a database which can store XML and JSON. It is also a search engine. And it is, as soon as you load your data, it's available immediately, and it's searchable immediately because of the universal index. And it's also a semantic triple store now, right? Now, and that is where I think it has quite more features compared to something like Mongo, which is a non-relational NoSQL database, right? But if you want to put a search on top of it, you'll have to put an Elasticsearch or other technologies on top. If you now want to put relationships between data, right, you'll have to put another graph database on top of it. And the big challenge is keeping all of them in sync, right? How do you keep them in sync, all this information? And whereas with MarkLogic, it's all 3-in-1. You commit something, if you put triples along with it, you can embed semantic information, relationship information in the documents. That's all available immediately as your transaction is committed. So I think that's a big benefit. But I'm not saying that Mongo, you might be use cases where you just need a database to store some JSON. You can use Mongo there. Okay, thank you, Pawan. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thanks, Pawan. Over to you, Anastasia. Nothing from Martin.
Well, if there are no more questions, then I think we can close the webinar. Thank our audience for joining us today and for asking questions.
Yeah, thank you, Anastasia, for hosting this, and thank you everyone for taking the time out and joining. This is the first one out of a series, and we'll be looking for some feedback and seeing what other topics interest and what else we can talk about in these webinars. So thank you very much. All of you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.